So we're now beginning to decipher what happened in the city of Toronto yesterday when a van mowed down many people, many pedestrians. 10 people are now confirmed to be dead and many more are injured. Alek Minassian is the one responsible. And there were many people who were speculating this could be terrorism, this could be this could be that. And as of yet, we don't know officially what the motive is. But what's circulating on social media and in the mainstream media now is that this could be a mental health problem, and the reason he did it is because he was having woman troubles and he wanted to punish women and the men who were having successes with women, and he was inspired by another individual who did a similar act of violence at UC Santa Barbara by the name of Elliot Rogers, who posted several things on Facebook and on Twitter, which Alek Minassian retweeted and reposted on his social media. So as a result, people are now saying that this could be the motive. We don't know if that is official or not. Nobody's saying if that's official or not. But if it is, then it is proof that there is a huge mental health crisis, not just in Ontario, not just in Canada, but around the world. And until we get serious and decide that, look, we're going to start showing our fellow man a little bit more compassion. We're going to listen more. We're going to, try and reach out more. We're going to be more patient. We're going to be more kind because let's face facts. Big Pharma and our politicians, they're not going to change. Big Pharma dishes out all this medication, which people get hooked on and addicted to, has many side effects, which actually could make the mental health problem even worse. Suicide, homicide, all this stuff. And they say, well, this is it. This is the be-all, end-all. You take this forever. We make money, and you just slowly deteriorate even more. And then, when somebody comes out with a seemingly permanent cure to all this mental health stuff, they spend billions of dollars to shut them down with the help of the politicians who are being paid off by Big Pharma. So they're not going to change it until, and only until, we get a radical change at the top. It's up to us, human beings, men, women, average men and women on the streets, to show more compassion, to listen more, to not be so judgmental, to not think of mental health as some trophy that you can hold up and say, oh yeah, I care about mental health because I walked in the bell, let's talk, and I bought a t-shirt, and I copy and pasted some suicide awareness thing, but I don't give two craps about my friend who's always looking down and who's always sad, and when she reaches out to me, I just say, oh, get over it, or something like that. Or you're a nurse in the hospital, and you see somebody struggling in the psych emerge, and it's a prison in there. I mean, that's what many people have told me, and, you get impatient and all this stuff. Until we stop doing that, this stuff will continue to happen. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't have sympathy for this human being. I don't. I actually think we need to bring back public whippings. We need to bring back public floggings, Roman style, medieval style whippings, to give an example that, this is unacceptable. Innocent people are now dead. This is unacceptable. This is uncalled for. I mean, if we can arrest people who are addicted to drugs, who can't help, they took their first hit many years ago and now they're permanently addicted, and we still arrest them, which I think is wrong. I don't see what's wrong with giving this, making an example out of this fool who did this, and say, look, this is not the way to go about this. You cannot do this. Let's face the facts. I read in an article the other day that Toronto was one of the hardest cities to live in if you're a man, because for the simple reason that Toronto is one of the hardest cities to get laid in, or to get a relationship or a date and all that stuff. They say Toronto is the hardest. They say it's the hardest place, followed by Washington, D.C. It is tough for men. So this guy just killed a bunch of men. A lot of men got killed and injured in this attack in Toronto. So many of those men probably suffering from the same thing he's suffering from. And he's killing them. He's attacking them. I mean, every man on the planet has had women troubles. I'm having women troubles right now. You know how many women give me trouble every day? I'm going to get a heart attack one day from these women. But I would never dream of jumping into a van and killing a bunch of people because of it. Now, we can say it's mental health. Okay, yes, it's mental health. So now back to my point. And I have a platform. So I'm going to talk about this. And I don't care about the people who say, oh, you sound so soft. You sound so, You can say I sound soft all you want. But I'm going to say it anyway. And you saying that I sound soft just shows that you're covering up for other inadequacies. And I'm going to say it. I don't care how soft I sound. We need to be kinder to our fellow man. We need to be more compassionate. We need to be a little bit more patient. You see somebody reaches out to you saying, I'm having a bad day. Don't brush it off. Don't whatever. Talk to them. Be there and seriously be there for them. Not this little, it's an inconvenient thing. And finally, don't march in any bell, let's talk. Don't march in that. Marching ain't going to do anything. Marching is only going to make you lose weight. People march in that stuff and they put hashtags and Facebook stuff. That annoys me. Good God Almighty from Zion, that annoys me. Because many of those people who do that don't give a rat's behind about anybody with mental health. They're just pretentious people. Not all of you, but a lot of them who do that. It's a trophy for them. Be genuinely sympathetic and empathetic and try to get into the people's shoes. Don't be impatient. Somebody has a mental health issue. Somebody has anger issues. Somebody has, depression, anxiety. If you're in a relationship with... I made this mistake once, too. Very recently, actually. I was in a relationship with a girl who has mental illness. And, I should have listened more. I should have listened instead of trying to talk and make my point. And maybe she's listening. I don't know. But instead of I should have listened more. People need to listen more. And maybe this stuff would stop. Maybe this stuff wouldn't continue to happen. And I know I'm sounding all cheesy and stuff, but I'm doing this because 10 people in my city are now dead and more are injured because of mental illness. This guy didn't know where to turn. I have sympathy for him, but he didn't know where to turn. He can't go to the hospital because Jezebel has cut so much into the mental... Jezebel, I call her Kathleen Wynne. Jezebel, she cut in healthcare so badly that people wait hours and hours and hours and days in some cases to see a doctor. And when they see the doctor, he just kind of writes another prescription and sends them on their way. He said, I ain't gonna deal with that no more. He tries to reach out to friends. Maybe they were nasty to him. Maybe the people in Seneca didn't care. So he says, I'll go kill people. Now it's wrong. He shouldn't do that. And I would, if it was up to me, he'd be getting 50 lashes right now and he'd be locked in a dark room. He wouldn't be able to come out ever for the rest of his life. There'd be a bucket for him to piss in and defecate in, and I'd throw a piece of ham in there and some bottled water so he'd slowly go crazy. So I don't have no sympathy for him. I don't. But what I'm saying is that in order to prevent things like Toronto and Columbine and Newtown and all these things that keep happening because of mental illness, maybe it could help if every single one of us could be a refuge for somebody who's in need. And if you think somebody needs to be talked to, even a stranger on the street, anybody in your corner, talk to them. Be sympathetic, be empathetic. You don't have to give any advice, but just be a warm refuge for them. I think if everybody in the planet did that, I don't think there'd be any killing anymore. Mental health killing, there'd always be terrorism. Some guy out there in wherever I stand would probably want to commit acts of terrorism because of what, he wants to, whatever. And by the way, speaking to terrorism, let me just say this. Right now, all the liberals in Canada, the Mac Daddy, Justin the Long-Haired Mac Daddy Trudeau, Kathleen Jezebel Wynne, all the liberals out there are breathing a sigh of relief. They are saying, Oh, thank God it's not terrorism. Thank God it's not terrorism. Because now we can get back to giving $10 million to terrorists like Omar Khadr. Now we can get back to giving citizenship to terrorists like the terrorists responsible for the Toronto 18 foiled terrorist attack. Now we can get back to bringing in refugees who have the same religion as our enemy, which is ISIS. We don't, we just bring them in. It could be a Trojan horse. Now we can get back to bringing in illegals from America. We don't screen them. We don't do anything, and they just live among us and all that. Now we can get back to allowing knives on the plane. Now we can get back to our old ways, because it ain't terrorism. Thank God Almighty, it ain't terrorism. Even though we had Ottawa, even though we had Edmonton, even though we had Saskatchewan, it ain't terrorism in Toronto, so now we can get back to our old ways. Well, let me tell you something, Jezebel, Matt Daddy, all the liberals out there, especially liberals in Ontario, this attack in Toronto, I still blame the liberals, even though it wasn't terrorism, because the liberals have cut and cut and cut in a healthcare. They cut autistic care for people who are autistic over the age of 5. Who's to say that same care that somebody over the age of 5 was getting before Jezebel cut it, decides to go kill a bunch of people in a different city? Ottawa, Hamilton, Windsor, Mississauga, Sudbury, Oshawa, where I'm living, Kingston. So don't sit there with silently, oh, it ain't terrorism. And finally, I heard a lot of people giving me messages saying, oh, you said you weren't going to speculate. And in one of your videos, you speculated. I didn't speculate. What I said was that we shouldn't speculate if this is Islamic terrorism or not. And we don't know. It could still. We don't know yet. But it's funny how the media and all the establishment politicians, they are quick to speculate when a girl in Scarborough comes out and says, oh, somebody tore off my hijab. Somebody tore off my hijab. And they, in 2 seconds can't even go by before these people come out and say, there's Islamophobia. Every Canadian is racist. This is terrible. This is terrible. And it proved to be false. It was a false flag. She didn't do it. She tore it off herself. But that's when it suits them to speculate. But when it doesn't suit them to speculate, they go on the air and say, don't speculate, don't speculate, don't speculate. It might not be terrorism. It might not be Islamic. And I agree, we should never speculate. You shouldn't have speculated with the girl who said that someone cut off her hijab. And they speculated even before the facts could come out. So both sides speculate. I'm here just saying we shouldn't speculate on both. And what a hypocrite the Mac Daddy looks, and Jezebel looks, and John Tory looks, who are there now, and the media, they're all saying, don't speculate with this attack in Toronto. But they speculated with Scarborough. But that's the truth. And this is the Arana Nation.